Hey, it's Dr. Fred of Elite Coaching, man. I'm so excited for what we're going to show you today. And if you hang on, everything's going to change. Getting practices to grow, getting people in retention, getting people to pay you monthly. That's why we always talk about lifestyle and seven-figure lifestyle practice. What's that? It's about making seven. It's not about seven figures, about the impact. And everyone should be living a chiropractic healthcare lifestyle. So today, Miles Bodzin, you own Couch Practice. I've known about you for years. We recently hooked up. You spoke at the last boot camp in Salt Lake, and you're going to do a presentation on how to give a compliant financial and recommendations, because like we talked about before the recording, we don't want to deal with a lot of compliance stuff. Man, that's a full-time job, dude. That's your job. We got other shit to do. So
That's right.
I'm excited to have you at our boot camp, bring you into Elite, and I'd like them, tell your story, man, because you
Yeah,
are a retention lifestyle guy.
yeah, Fred, thank you so much. And it's a pleasure to always meet, like-minded chiropractors and get involved. And I enjoyed your program so much, meeting the doctors. It's such a refreshing group of people, and I'm really excited to be kind of dipped into your program. And I think we bring a lot of value to the doctors from the stuff that generally you don't want to deal with, but we're here to help you grow the practice. And it's one thing to I know you brought the word compliance and all that stuff. Really, our focus is helping doctors like yourself build retention. And it's like I like to use the analogy. It's sort of like, if you want to learn to play the game basketball or soccer, you got to learn the rules of the game. And then when you learn the rules, it's easier to do. Like you know the rules. And that's why in soccer, you don't use your hands. You know the rules, right? So we know all the rules when it comes to setting up your finances and your care plans, and not just how to do it compliantly, but how to do it where you successfully have, building patient retention, because that's really what it's all about. And,
So you tell them the rules, and I help them develop the skill.
that's right. That's right. It's like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah, there you go. It used to be one of my favorites, by the way.
I bet.
That was through college, man. At two PB&Js at 12 midnight
I
after
just
school.
had one yesterday.
Oh, nice. Cool, man. So you did a presentation before, and there is a lot. You have to be compliant on prepays and all the stuff that you do. So
Yeah.
first of all, I kind of want to know the man behind the mission, because you are a lifestyle retention guy in your own practice.
Absolutely. And that's why I think we're so like-minded, and I resonate with your group so well. And that is, yeah, I mean, I opened my practice in San Diego back in 1994, I think it was. Yeah, 94 it was. And I called it a common name we hear today for practices, Chiropractic Wellness Center. And that was the name of my practice. But this is in 1994. And when I went to register the name of the practice in the city of San Diego, there were literally zero companies at that time with the word wellness in it. We were the very first wellness name in any healthcare, in anything in San Diego. Now it's everywhere, of course. But and so that was our mindset from the beginning, is to do this lifetime practice, lifetime practice members. I came out of school on fire, excited to help people, clear out subluxations, give them lifetime care, all of what we do as chiropractors.
Yeah. So just out of curiosity, where'd you come out of school?
I came out of LACC of all places,
Well,
right?
that's what I thought, man. Where'd you get your philosophy, right? Because
Yeah, exactly.
certainly did. I came out of LACC in '87. We did not get it from that school.
So you went to LACC, Billy DeMoss went to LACC,
That's
Dave
right.
Jackson went to LA, all of us, these kind of figureheads in our industry that are kind of really principle based. We all came out of LACC, for better or worse. We came out pretty strong with our philosophy. Didn't get it there, but yeah, certainly we came out of that school. And open practice. And here's the thing: when I opened my practice, the reason I'm doing what I am today, or how it led me to where I am today, is that I went into practice with this notion that, I'm going to save the world and everybody's going to follow me to the ends of the earth. And if every patient knew what I knew, they would do what I do, and all of this stuff. And I ran into a brick wall. And that brick wall I ran into I don't know if you remember, but in the early 90s in Southern California, that was the hotbed of the birth of managed care. And this raging new thing of PPOs and HMOs was all the new rage. And I wasn't part of any of it. So here I am trying to run a wellness type practice, and every patient that came in was part of managed care that I'm not part of. And I'm like, how am I going to do this? Like, they want to use their insurance. I'm not part of it. It was a really challenge, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing at the beginning until I got some advice and finally figured out how to do it. And like a lot of doctors, I learned how to enroll people. I learned how to do prepays. I learned how to do care plans. I learned a lot of things and had some successes along the way. But I'll tell you, the thing that drove me nuts, that kind of led me to this very moment right now. And that is, I had plenty of patients who got the big idea. Like they got it. Like I could see it in their eyes. They understood the power of the subluxation being cleared out. And what frustrated me is I had some of those patients who got the big idea still drop out of care. And it blew my mind. Like, how is it they're dropping out of care when they get the big idea? And then I had other people who to this day still probably do not understand what a subluxation is, yet they're still getting care. Like there was this disconnect. And to my mind, that was challenging for me to be like, why is it some people get it and they drop, and some people don't get it and they stay, and some people get it and they stay? Like, I was baffled by that. And I went on a mission to figure out like what drives our patients' behavior to follow through. Like where's the behavioral psychology going on that helps them follow through with care? And that's ultimately what led us where we are today. And that is, helping doctors do care plans and payment processing and all these things, because they all impact our patient's ability to follow through with care. That's ultimately what it can boil down to.
Our audience, right? Elite. That's the same thing. I mean, I have the same story. That's why I started studying. Why do some people get it and some don't? That's why we started studying human behavior 26 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And because we're in the people business, right? We're in the people business. So, and at the end of the day, Fred, you and I can have lightning bolts flying at our fingertips to help people. It doesn't matter. And by the way, you do, because you've adjusted me and they're great adjustments, but it doesn't matter if you have lightning bolts. If people aren't following through, it doesn't matter. Like, so at the end of the day, if you're not good at getting people to follow through, your lightning bolts aren't helping anybody. So.
Cool. So then, so you finally figured it out, and then you started with payment arrangements and plans, and then your retention went through the roof. So
yeah, I mean,
so what was that plan?
So here's the deal. As I was taught early on, I got some coaching. I never hired a coach, and that was one of the biggest mistakes I made, is I didn't hire a coach. But I did get some advice from some friends. And the advice I was taught was how to do care plans and do prepays. And I learned how to close deals like a lot of doctors learn today very well. I think the strategy I have of communicating is a little different than most, but nonetheless, I got good at enrolling people in care. And I had kind of this, and I'm like, I'm on top of the world, I'm kicking ass, I'm doing all these things, and I'm, excited. But I was running to this frustration of still some of these people not renewing and dropping out of care. And then one week I had this thing happen. I happened to practice in an area where there's a lot of military. And I had 3 military families in 1 week. Something happened where they all got transferred. They had to get transferred out of town, and they all had prepaid me. So guess what I had to do? I had to, write a bunch of refund checks, right? I can see the look on your face, right? I had to refund money because they were stopping care with, they didn't want to, but they had to. So I had the pleasure of writing about $10,000 of refunds that week. And, I had the money and I was able to do it, but I remember looking in the mirror going, crap, this sucks. Like I'm all excited about this, but the reality is it's not my money until I really render the service, right? It's not really mine. And I was lamenting to a friend of mine, a fellow chiropractor. I was sharing this same story to them. And they said, Miles, my wife, and he wasn't the business guy, his wife was the business guy. He's like, my wife told me to put people on monthly payments. I don't know where she got the idea, but they did. This was, mid-late 90s. I said, well, that's an interesting idea. Never thought of that. And we started doing that, where the first way we started doing is we'd have people write out a bunch of checks, like post-dated checks for the next year, right?
And
we keep doing that.
File.
And then we had a little tickler box that we would put in credit card numbers in. And then we would, go through the box each day of the week and pull out credit card numbers and key them, enter into the credit card machine. And it was a very mechanical process, but nonetheless, the result was our retention skyrocketed. Our retention went through the roof when we did that. And that's what got us like, now that we're doing this and it's working, I'm going to put my engineering hat back on, because I was studying engineering before chiropractic, and I started building software in the late 90s on to do this stuff. Like, I want to automate this process because it's a lot of work to do what we were doing. And that's where it all began. It's like, all right, let's make software to do payments, and let's do software for care plans, and let's do these things so that the job of doing care planning and payment processing, at that time, there was nothing out there to do it. So we started designing some of the earliest stuff to do this stuff. And that's where we are today.
It's so fascinating. Like, you look at coaching groups, and why did I start Elite? Same thing. We solve our own problem, and then we go, oh my God, man, this is friggin' amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I can help somebody, right? Your whole purpose comes out of the problem that I don't want to say selfishly, but I did it selfishly for myself.
Right. You want to help people. And here's the thing. Once we started doing this for ourselves and it was working, fellow colleagues, fellow friends, chiropractors are like, what are you doing? You're killing it. I'm like, well, let me share it with you. And It's the influence. And before you know, you have a couple dozen doing your stuff. Then you have a few hundred. Now you have thousands, and it turns into what it is today, where we're a big company now serving, thousands of chiropractors all over the nation and world, doing care plans, doing email marketing, doing payment processing, doing a number of things our program does, all with the sole focus of helping doctors increase their patient retention. And I want to emphasize this, doctors. I'm sure Fred shared this with you, is that as you build your retention, as you get better at converting patients into care, as you get better at retaining them, you can't help but grow. Like, you cannot help but grow your practice because
Absolutely.
you're adding people and you're not losing them. So it's like a bucket filling, you're filling it with your Legos, your water, whatever you're doing. It just grows and grows and grows.
Well,
And
and
that's
that's what
the
I tell
experience.
people. The whole profession is like new patients, new patients. Man, all you do, if you grow your practice with new patients, you create more stress because if you don't grow your PVA, you just need more new patients,
Right. You become a
right? So,
slave to the practice.
exactly. And that's where one of the things I love about you, man, is you grow through retention, not through new patients.
And I could show, like, and we're not going to do it right now, but maybe when I'm doing live presentation, we could do this. I go through an exercise where I'll prove that growing retention is about twice as profitable as growing conversions. Like, just simply
Absolutely.
getting good at retaining people, you will grow your profits significantly more. Now,
Because
when
they
you do
pay you more.
both, yeah, you earn more over the long term, but it's less work. Like, it's less stress, right? And quite frankly, you know, every practice that, if they're not good at retention, they will plateau. Like, we know this, right? There's only so many new patients you process per month to replace the ones you're losing. So if you're always losing and you're always replacing, you at some point you can only grow, you can't grow any further. So it's very difficult to do so. So anyway, retention, and not only that, I know it's not just about the money, it's not about at the end of the day,
It's about
to deliver
impact.
on the promise of chiropractic and to deliver on the
Absolutely.
results, they have to follow through. I mean,
Yeah.
that's it.
Okay, so you're gonna do a whole thing on Friday night at the boot camp. So let's give them a little bit of preview so you can say, okay, I need that.
Sure,
You guys
absolutely.
need to be there because that's where this is going to be, and it change your, it's going to help take your practice to another level.
It's not just knowing you need to do care planning. It's not just knowing you need to do auto debits, but it's actually, how do you do it properly? How do you do it in a compliant way? Like I jokingly said, we used to keep checks on file and we used to use credit card numbers on file. Like, you can't do that kind of stuff today because it's not compliant. When it comes to building your care plans, generally most doctors, when they build their care plans, when we see what they're doing, most doctors are not doing it compliantly. They're applying discounts inappropriately. They're including insured visits with their discounted services, which you can't do. There's a number of things you need to do to set it up properly. It's not hard and it should be scary. It's like, if you want to learn soccer, just listen to a coach teach you the rules and you're okay, great, I know the rules and now let me do it.
Yeah.
That's in essence what I'm going to do. I'm going to teach you the rules of building these things properly. I'll give you and expose you to some tools you can do to make it really easy to build these care plans properly. And then, from the standpoint of, the enrollment process and managing care plans, I will tell you, when we work with CAs and offices, a lot of times CAs are frustrated because there's no set system for handling this. Like, there's a million different ways that, there's 10 different patients and all 10 of them have a different program and different ways of collecting money, and it's all over the map. So we want to help you streamline that. So I encourage you to be there, be at the program, and certainly be there Friday night. And I look forward to being in when we're teaching and sharing with you the knowledge we have. And I think you'll walk away with solid foundation and material to be able to actually apply and take the things that Fred's teaching you on your report of findings on how to get great yeses to your care plans and actually now execute a care plan that serves you in the long run. Because here's the thing. It's one thing to enroll a patient in care. It's another thing to have them complete that program, transition to wellness care, become a lifetime practice member. A lot of people say that's the thing to do, but let's be real. Not everybody's truly executing it. Not everybody. That's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to execute that on a routine basis. We all have those practice members where I have those people who stay with me forever. Yeah, but is that the majority of your patients, or is that just a few of them here and there? Like, and we want to systematize that process so it's like a machine. Like, most people go through it and they end up a loyal practice member.
Well, I'm going to comment on that too, because when you say systematize, and when you talk about you want to grow your practice and make it sustainable, profitable and sustainable, it's like, if it's not easy for your team, you're going to tap out. because then the more volume, the more work for your team. Forget it. They're done. They're not going to grow your practice. If it's
Exactly.
easy for your team, they will grow your practice for you. And that's how many times elite clients you're listening to this, I say, you got to make it easy on your front desk. The doctor has loyalty to their team first, and having these systems to make it easy for your team will grow your practice for you.
100%. There's like, it's so important, and I'm right there with you that a team is vital. Longevity of your team is vital. I'm very proud to say that I have team members with me now, me personally, Holly, who's been with me over 21 years, Laura over 20 years, Amber 18 years. One of our former CAs who hadn't worked for me for years just came back and worked for me again. Like this notion of having a great group of people that are there to support you, but you got to make it easy for them. Their job they have to have joy in their job, quite frankly. They got to find joy in it. So that's mission driven and purpose driven, but that's what drives them. That's the fuel in the tank. You want to give them systems to make it like, driving the car is
Fun and
easy, right?
joyful.
There's power steering, right? It
Oh,
isn't a car
absolutely.
without power steering.
Boy, we are dating ourselves. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, for sure. Or
Yeah,
manual
funny.
transmission.
So let's jump into some of the systems so they can kind of get a taste. Now you're going to go
Sure.
into more detail in June at the boot camp, but let's give them a taste of like some
Sure.
things like, oh shit, I need to do that.
All right. So when it comes to retention, we've identified there's 4 key things that need to happen, and we have 4 systems to help you do this. So let me just give you a broad stroke overview. And I kind of went over this at the boot camp in Salt Lake City, and we'll touch on this again in Atlanta. And that is, there are 4 things you got to do. One is you need to forecast your care, and that's your care planning. And so we'll talk about our system called the Care Plan Calculator, which is our tool for doing care planning. The next is, I mentioned payments. I mentioned already kind of credit cards on file and auto debits. We have an auto debit system for doing what we call frictionless payments. So I'm saying these things like forecasting care. That's a retention principle. Frictionless payments is a retention principle. When it comes to patient education, we refer to that as frequent contact. You need to be in contact with your patients frequently. Your brand in front of them, your name in front of them, your messaging in front of them, your education. That's frequent contact. So there's lots of things, doctors, we do for frequent contact. There's social media, there's email marketing, there's all kinds of things we do. At Cash Practice, we have a marketing system called the Drip Education Email Marketing Platform. It's a tool for sending out email campaigns to educate your patients. And then the 4th thing we refer to is feedback. We need to give our patients regular feedback so they know they're making progress. Failure to give patients feedback will lead to dropout. It will lead to them leaving the practice. So we have a tool called the Wellness Score because we want to give our patients feedback that's intuitive for them, something that's easy for them to understand. So we convert all our doctor language and basically into a report card. So we take all our exam findings and we say, hey, Fred, based on everything we examined, we determined your health is a C-. Man, that sucks. Let's get you to an A, right? So we have a report card mechanism called our Wellness Score for doing that. So to summarize, we have 4 things. Frequent contact is with our email marketing system, frictionless payments with our auto debit system, feedback with our wellness score, and forecasting care with our care plan calculator. These 4 things, these 4 tools we use to execute those 4 principles, because those principles are what drive our retention, along with many other things. There's other things that drive retention too, but from a systems perspective, those are the 4 key elements that we help them with. And what we found is forecasting care and doing care plans, along with your along with your payment processing, so making your payments frictionless and automated, those 2 things alone will have the biggest impact on retention.
Immediate.
They have the biggest impact. Like if you don't do care planning right, you're setting yourself up for failure. Like it's all kind of like the baseline. Like it's kind of the foundation. If you're not doing care planning, all the other stuff, it helps, but not to any great extent. Care planning is kind of like, you get them on a care plan, and now we're going to give patients feedback. We're going to give them frequent contact. We're going to give them, we're going to automate their payments. We're going to do all those things on top of the care plan, and lo and behold, the practice grows.
Let me give an example of this too, because one of the things we teach, you have to have absolute certainty in time before you do money. And so one of the biggest, I can tell by somebody's PVA, like they may have a 36 or a 26 PVA, and I say, well, what recommendations you making? Well, we make 26 visits. And then I go, I bet open-ended recommendations, like come 24 times, then we'll evalue you, and then we'll see how
you
you're
do.
doing.
Exactly.
Open-ended. Boom, they're going to quit. You're going to have a PBA to your first recommendation. You got to recommend all the way into lifestyle.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. 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 The way you set it up from the beginning will dictate what happens on the back end.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, in our re-exam, they have to repeat their program to us. We don't tell them, we ask them questions. They repeat it back to us every 30 days, all the way into lifestyle.
Absolutely. You got to, and that's holding them accountable. And so from the standpoint of what you're saying, that's why I think we're so in alignment. Like we're saying the same things. Like we just provide different services. You're providing the coaching, we're providing actual tools and systems, like the mechanics of doing this stuff and executing it. And when you combine those, our offices that we work with that are referred to us by a coach, or they have a coach. Maybe they weren't even referred by them, but they have it, and they're getting the execution of how do you do the report findings and how do you enroll them, and they're being coached properly on how to do care planning. And then you use our tools. These doctors are just killing it. They're absolutely just killing it.
Well,
I mean, I'll give you an example. Like we have case studies of, and I'm not sharing them here, but I'll share some at the when we're presenting live, is case studies of doctors who started off doing 200,000 a year, who are doing over 2 million a year now. And they're doing that not overnight, over the course of a decade of just growing from 200,000 a year to 300 to 500 to 700 to 800
their
million.
lifestyle's growing.
Right, because they're just adding more people to the pile of people they're taking care of. That's ultimately what's happening.
And now the benefit of what you do, like I said, you provide the rules. So you have that program. They just fill it out and it's all digitally done, and you hit a print button. And so it looks professional, so it's like you got the rules. I help you. Here's the rules of soccer. I'll show you how to score goals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, you have, that's ultimately it. So, we doctors, we encourage you to be there. Make sure you're there and listen, and hopefully you decide to work with us. I mean, Fred, I don't think you'd have us here if you didn't like who we were as people and what our mission was, and we're in alignment. So am I right? Am I right?
Absolutely. So do you want to make a couple comments just on the other three? Like there's care planning, the credit cards have to be encrypted and all that.
Then there's our auto debit system for payment processing. So everything you want to do when it comes to payment processing, whether it's one-time payments, recurring payments, have cards on file, you name it, it does it. Gift cards, online payments. You want to send a statement in the mail to a patient, email for them to pay online, payment declines, and they need to be notified to make up a payment. All of the stuff that you would want. It will even have a feature where if you want to have the cards automatically updated by the bank in case a card expires and the patient's, so you don't have to ask the patient for a new credit card, it'll automatically update it. There's all kinds of features that the software has to make your life and your CA's life, if CAs are listening right now, to make your life a no-brainer when it comes to running this stuff. And for example, we're integrated with many of the EHRs, the bigger EHRs that are out there, we're integrated with. So if you have payments run, they'll automatically post into that EHR. So it just makes your life really easy that way.
Well, it's almost like a virtual CA assistant. It's an assistant to the CA.
We have found, it's funny you say that. We have actually found that when offices who are not automating most of their payments and they start using us at automating payments, we've seen routinely they're saving about 40 hours of payroll per month. So it's almost like a full-time position of the hours being saved. Now, I'm not saying a CA is not working those hours. I'm simply saying they're not wasting their time collecting money. Like it's all automated. And when you add up the amount of time it takes to do each of these little tasks of running payments, you add up that time over the course of a month, it's about a 40-hour payroll period that you're saving by not having when you automate this stuff. So it's really amazing the amount of savings that are involved when you start doing this stuff, just from that perspective, and systematizing and simplifying things.
Well, and we've talked about this before, just the frustration of, we got to update the expiration date or something small. Like these are chores to CAs that take away their joy.
Takes away their joy, as well as it leads to missing money. Quite frankly, things fall through the cracks. I don't want to, I'm not here to scare people, but we get calls about once a month of doctors calling us where they've lost a lot of money, either through things falling through cracks, or unfortunately, because they didn't have secure systems, they were having embezzlement happen and money being stolen from them. Like there's lots of things that go on that it's not just about making the more money. It's also making sure your systems are tight so that you're running a secure operation and you yourself, doctor, are not susceptible to theft from your own business. There's lots of things that can go on in a practice when you don't really have things tied down properly that can lead to theft.
I've had that.
Yeah.
think a
Yeah, I
lot,
think we all
just
have.
about any business owners have that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You find
So
out after the fact. Cool. So, and then you got a couple more. So
yeah, and
that,
then we have our wellness score, which is for doing the report cards. And
right.
then we have our drip education email marketing platform, which is if you want to think of like a MailChimp or Constant Contact that comes preloaded with a whole bunch of chiropractic content, that's in essence what it is. It comes with all of this chiropractic content, subluxation-based stuff, all kinds of stuff you can use to educate your patients and market to them. You could use it as it is. If you want to edit it and change it, you could change it. You could create your own stuff, but it's a whole library. It would literally take an office probably thousands and thousands of dollars and hours to build the content themselves that we have, and you get it all free as part of the system. So
Yeah.
you're
So one of these days I'll move that up my priority list and I'll write that. Or, gee, we send out blogs almost every week. You could actually read your email,
yeah,
listen to the videos we send out, and pick what you like and do it yourself.
yeah, yeah. It's like, the whole point of software, the whole point of it is to streamline business tasks and make your life easier. That's its intention. So if you have so you can either do it the manual way, or you could buy a bunch of different things and kind of string it all together, or you can go to a company like ours where we've done the work already. That's our business, right? We've strung together all these different components. We've built them ourselves, and you build this kind of platform. Like, its sole purpose is to make it easy for doctors and their CAs to build retention using these systems and tools. That's its intention.
Yeah,
It just
that's
so happens it's called cash
SOLE.
practice.
Yeah, exactly. SOLE, soul, and SOUL. Sole
Yeah,
purpose, great lifetime patients, make it easy, automate it, right?
yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly.
cool. So are those the four things you're going to cover in June? What exactly are you going to cover on Friday night?
So on Friday night, we're going to focus our attention on the care planning mostly, and the auto debit component of that. We could touch on the other systems, but for the time we're allotted, the time that we're spending, that's where we want to put our energy. We want to give people a little deeper dive into those things, because at the end of the day, care planning and the payment processing, it is the most important part of this process. The other pieces, like if they end up deciding to work with us, they can learn about the other things, and we'll be happy to do so. Or maybe you'll have us come back at another time and teach those
Yeah,
things
you
as
can
well.
come back and do the other half at another time,
Yeah, for
another
sure.
boot
So
camp. Cool. Cool, man. Well, I'm excited for June. I'm excited to have you in our culture. And, we got to sit down and chat a little bit. And, we know a lot of the same people, man. We come from the same heart, same purpose
yeah,
in chiropractic. And that's why I'm really excited to build a relationship with you and have the docs and teams in Elite, man. You can make that easier, and just makes creating that lifestyle practice so much easier. So
absolutely.
thanks for all you do. We're going to see you in June, and get registered. Call Amber. You guys got the number. Get registered. Go to elitecoachingllc.com. Check out the boot camps. If you're not going, because what we're going to do, this is the perfect day one, day two. We're going to show you exactly how to get 100% of every new patient that walks in on day one to say that chiropractic is a healthcare lifestyle for their family. So we're going to show you exactly how to get there right on day one. So
Awesome.
yeah, we'll see you there.
We'll see you guys. Thanks for having me, Fred.
Yep. Peace.